All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On NFL podcast. I'm Luke Braun here with Matt Birk, Super Bowl champion center, Viking, Raven. Matt Birk. Matt, thank you so much for joining me. So we're here, Super Bowl Radio Row, and the thing about the Super Bowl is everybody's got to have a game, and one of the most popular games is Squares. But for those who have not, and you have something that you want to talk about with that, but before we get into that, for those who have not played the game, tell me how Super Squares works.
Well, Super Squares is a twist on this football squares game that's been around forever, and I want to talk about that. But it's basically trying to match numbers to the score. And Super Squares, though, it's a twist. I mean, we digitized it so you can play against people the entire country.
Awesome.
We also added a prediction element, so it's not just all dumb luck. There is some skill involved as well. And it's free to play. It's called Super Squares. You can download it. We're not trying to get anybody to gamble. We're not trying to sell anybody anything. We're not going to spam you for a mortgage. Our advertisers just appreciate our game, and they pay for our massive prize pool, which on Super Bowl Sunday is over $2 million. And again, it's all free, and we protect all your data and privacy. But we launched this last year, and last Super Bowl, we set a Guinness Book of World Records for most players ever in a Squares game.
Wow.
But as we got to thinking, this game is it's like an American phenomenon. It's as much a part as the Super Bowl as the chips and dip, but nobody knows where this game came from. And when you search it online, there's no documented history of football squares, but 100 million people know how to play this game. So what we're asking the football community to do is go to supersquares.com and share your Squares story. When you first played it, when you first heard about it. If you know of a game that's been going on years, we'll actually buy historical memorabilia for Squares games, but we really want to start to curate the history around this game, which has become an American phenomenon.
All right, well, how about I start it off? I got a story. It's a fun one. From when I was a kid, I did a Squares game once. I had a Super Bowl party with all my friends. Super Bowl 42. That was the David Tyree helmet catch game. One friend, and if my old pal Frank is listening to this, one friend called the Giants in that Squares game, and we didn't have a prize pool or anything because we were 14, but there it is. And that's how I remember that, was we were all going like, oh my God, Frank, you did it.
Yeah.
He was the only guy to pick the Giants.
And that's what I think everybody's got a Squares game, and that's what we want to hear about at supersquares.com.
Absolutely. So before we get in, I want to talk to you a little bit about playing days and stuff, especially the Vikings, because I'm a Vikings fan. But first, post-playing, I know you've been up to a whole bunch of other things. So tell me about where you've gone since donning various purple jerseys.
Well, I kind of feel like Johnny Cash. I kind of feel like I've been everywhere. I did a stint in New York City. I worked for the league office for a couple years. Moved to Florida, which is what all retired people do. But I'm back in Minnesota. I started a school 3 years ago, and I work on various projects. Do a lot of work in the church, a lot of work in schools, and then fortunate enough to do a lot of public speaking as well. Talk to a lot of corporations. So my wife says, "What do you do all day?" And I say, I don't really know, but I am always busy, which is good for me, because if I have too much free time, I can get into a lot of trouble.
Oh no, I'm sure there's nothing worse than being alone with one's thoughts.
Exactly.
So let's get into the nitty gritty a little bit. Look, things have changed a little bit since you were in the league. My man, it's a different world out there, especially I feel like run games have turned a lot different, but also kind of the same, like everything old is new again a little bit. I would love to hear your thoughts on the wide outside zone revolution that has swept the league. We got 2 wide zone coaches in the Super Bowl now. More wide. Vikings just hired a wide zone guy. It is everywhere. And it was also everywhere back in the 90s, and then there was like power, and then the read options. I would love to hear your thoughts on how everything is zone running now.
Well, you're exactly right. And this is football. What's old is new again.
Of course.
There's not many original ideas. It's just the recycling of old ideas. And, the league goes a certain way, and then somebody kind of goes against the trend and does it well, and then everybody will copy that. So, but as far as, the outside zone, big plays happen out in space, right? So
Sure.
It's all about getting your playmakers the ball out in space. And I think what you've seen now is there's there aren't any of these power running backs coming out of college anymore, right? The guys like John Riggins. I'm older than you, Luke, but like John Riggins, the massive shoulder pads, and you just run it right up the middle. If you got 4 yards, man, you were like high fiving after the play. That was a great run. I think now teams it's just really hard to go the length of the field at 4 yards of play.
Hmm.
You have to be explosive, and the way that the rules are set up in the passing game, you're going to have to score more points to
Hmm.
win football games. So to try to find a way to run the ball, because you can't throw it every single play, although some coaches would like to. I think you've seen this wide zone become in vogue again. So you can
Hmm.
get guys out there and potentially break off explosive running plays in the run. When I played, you wanted to be efficient in the running game, which meant 4 yards on first down, half the distance if you ran it
Yeah.
on second down. Now efficiency is really not a thing. It's more about explosiveness and trying to put together 4 or 5 drives a game where you score touchdowns.
Yeah, the old Adrian Peterson famine feast deal.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
so it's Super Week. My friend, you've been here, huh? So I would love to hear for somebody, maybe a young player on the Bengals or Rams or something like that. What is something during the week leading up to the Super Bowl that you maybe wish you knew the year you played in it?
Hmm. Um. Well, that's a good question. I mean, well, one thing I think that I would recommend to players in the game. I mean, you hear a lot about, oh, enjoy it. Enjoy the experience. You might not never get back. I think the best advice I got was from Steve Hutchinson, one of my former teammates who
Hmm.
had played in the Super Bowl and lost. So Steve Hutchinson said, "Make sure you win the game," because he lost a Super Bowl, and I think it kind of haunted him, for his career. So when we went to the Super Bowl, I mean, I was locked in. I didn't watch any TV. I didn't listen to anything. I wasn't online. I was just all about the game. And the only time I relaxed was at night. I would go out to dinner with my family and a small group of friends. But I made sure I was doing everything I could to make sure that I went out there and did everything I could to help my team win the game. So I'd say, don't. There's a lot going on, and I know guys get caught up in it. Don't get caught up in all the hoopla. You can go back next year when your team's not playing in it and
Hmm.
enjoy the festivities. But as a player, you have a job to do while you're there.
That makes sense. We're talking here with Matt Birk, Super Bowl 47 champion, former Viking, former Raven. I'm going to be a little biased now and talk to you about your time with the Minnesota Vikings. Remind me the exact years that you were there before you went to Baltimore.
98 through '08.
98 through 08. Okay, so you had been through a couple of infamous Vikings moments, some deep playoff runs though. So I guess the playoffs are always so different. So one of the things I was really looking forward to asking you is take me inside the mentality. I mean, look, you're preparing for a regular season game is one thing, and preparing for a playoff game, an NFC championship game, that's a totally different thing. Tell me how that vibe changes and how you maybe got used to that over the years.
Well, I think everything just gets kind of ratcheted up a notch because the playoffs, it's final.
Hmm.
If you lose, it's over, and we all know that feeling when all of a sudden the season's just over. So you have to know that in the playoffs, I think that the teams that I was on that were successful, that made a deep run, or the one that won the Super Bowl, is you actually make it more simple than you do during the regular season. You make sure that everybody knows exactly what we're doing every single play, and that means it's bread and butter. It's your identity, and that's why where the regular season's important. Not just important to win games and do this, but you really have to find out who you are as a football team. So then, come the playoffs, you know exactly what you have, and you need to just call your best plays, line up your best guys, and just see if your best is better than their best. I mean, because the stage is bigger and the stakes are higher and all that, you almost have to dumb it down a little bit, or make it even simpler, which is, I think, a little bit counterintuitive for what some coaches and players think you have to do in the playoffs, which is, find some secret play, or
Hmm.
do some secret pregame routine. No, that is not the time for that stuff. It's the time to be exactly who you are.